Imagine being born into a world where your mother is already dying the moment you take your first breath, where you have no family, no protection, and thousands of predators waiting for you in every direction. Now imagine that, despite all of this, you are one of the most intelligent animals on the planet. This is the life of an octopus, and it is far more heartbreaking than you think. If nature's most extraordinary and brutal stories are what you're here for, subscribe to Animals Lab right now, because what you're about to learn will completely change the way you see the ocean. Every octopus story begins the same way, with an act of sacrifice. A female octopus lays between 50,000 and 200,000 eggs in her lifetime. She attaches them to rocks or coral in a hidden den, and for the next 2 to 10 weeks, she guards them obsessively. She fans them with her arms to keep them oxygenated. She cleans them to prevent infection. She stops eating entirely. By the time the eggs hatch, the mother is already starving herself to death. And when the tiny hatchlings finally emerge, smaller than a grain of rice for many species, she is gone. She either dies from starvation within days or drifts away too weak to survive. The baby octopus enters the world completely alone. No parent, no family, no one to teach it anything. Here is a number that puts everything into perspective. Of the hundreds of thousands of eggs a female octopus lays over her lifetime, researchers estimate that only 1 or 2 will survive long enough to reproduce. 1 or 2. The rest? Eaten. By fish, by crabs, by larger cephalopods, by the very ocean currents that carry them into open water. The hatchlings are microscopic, transparent, and completely defenseless in the first days of their lives. What keeps the species alive is not survival, it is sheer, overwhelming numbers. The octopus does not beat the odds. It simply produces so many offspring that the ocean can't eat all of them. This is where the story gets strange, because despite everything working against it, the octopus that survives grows into something remarkable. Each octopus has a central brain and 8 more distributed throughout its arms. That is 9 semi-independent processing centers running simultaneously. An octopus can unscrew jar lids, solve multi-step puzzles, learn by watching other octopuses, recognize individual human faces. Some have been documented playing, manipulating objects with no survival benefit, purely out of curiosity. This is a level of cognitive ability we normally associate with mammals, animals that live in social groups, that raise their young, that learn from their families over years. The octopus does it completely alone, in less than 2 years. Scientists still don't fully understand how. Octopuses are almost entirely solitary. They build dens. They decorate their entrances with shells and debris. Researchers call this decorating behavior, and it appears to serve no functional purpose. They just do it. They have been observed carrying coconut shell halves across the ocean floor, not to eat, not immediately, but to use later as portable shelter. This is tool use, planned tool use. And yet they do all of this alone. No mate to share a den with, no companion. Most octopuses will go their entire lives, never spending more than a few hours near another of their kind. And when they do, it often ends in one eating the other. Their intelligence evolved in total isolation, which raises a question science has not yet answered. What could an octopus become if it actually had time to grow? When an octopus is finally ready to mate, usually in the 2nd year of its life, the clock is already almost out of time. Males will travel extraordinary distances to find a female. Some species use a specialized arm called a hectocotylus to transfer sperm, and in some cases, the male detaches this arm entirely, leaving it behind with the female and swims away. Shortly after mating, the male dies. The female, meanwhile, begins her search for a den. She will lay her eggs, begin her vigil, and slowly stop eating. Her body begins to break down from the inside, a process driven by hormones from the optic glands. Scientists have actually removed these glands from female octopuses in experiments, and the females began eating again, left the eggs, and lived longer. Meaning, the octopus's death is not an accident. It is programmed, built in. Nature decided that a mother octopus is more valuable dead than alive. Most octopus species live for 1 to 2 years. Some of the larger ones, like the giant Pacific octopus, reach 3 to 5 years. Long by octopus standards, but consider what that means. An animal with the cognitive ability to solve puzzles, use tools, recognize faces, and plan for the future has less time on this planet than a domestic cat. By the time an octopus is fully developed, fully intelligent, fully capable, it has perhaps 6 months to a year left to live. We will never know what an octopus could learn in 10 years, or 20, because nature never gave it the chance. Here is what makes the octopus extraordinary, not just sad. Every single adaptation it has, the camouflage, the intelligence, the tool use, the problem solving, evolved not because it had help, but because it had none. The octopus is what happens when intelligence has no choice but to be self-made. And in a strange way, that might be the most remarkable thing about it. So tell us, did you know any of this before today? Which part hit you the hardest? Drop it in the comments below. And if this changed the way you see the ocean, even slightly, subscribe to Animals Lab. We cover the stories nature doesn't make easy to find. See you in the next one.